Baltimore Rides here, just checking in with everybody. It is September 1st, but it's actually the wrap-up video for Thursday, August 31st. It's about 1:30 a.m. I am on my way back from DC. Monumental task ahead of me tonight, and I crashed and burned. Just not as much volume for Uber rides in the city as I had hoped, and that's probably why Uber's putting some pretty big incentives out there. It's to generate business. But I had a goal of a Quest challenge to get 28 rides between Monday and 4 a.m. Friday. And obviously I was out of town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I got back today thinking I'd have 2 days to get this Quest done. And in actuality, it's really just tonight. So I got a ride down there around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Might have been later than that, actually. It might have been like 11 o'clock. No, it was 9:30. And, by the time I got close enough to proximity to DC, or what they call greater DC, to be able to get some rides that counted, I had my app on, and the rate that they come is not as quickly as in Baltimore. So, that's going to be some planning on my part. If I have a Quest where I've got to do a considerable number of trips, I'm going to have to budget some time out of my day during the whole week to generate those rides. So because that's not, I was there from, let's call it 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., so 3 hours, and I only did 10 Uber trips in 3 hours. That's a lot of time. In Baltimore, I would have probably done 20. So just goes to show you how deeply entrenched Lyft is in DC. I actually turned on my Lyft app around an hour and a half ago and got about $20 extra in Lyft. So I'm at $150 for the night so far. It's 1:30. I'm just making my way home because the bar scene in DC is wrapping up, and they're pretty drunk down there. And I've tempted fate a couple times tonight with people that were really, really inebriated. I don't want to take that chance anymore and risk putting somebody really gross in my car and then they puke, and I've got an hour and a half ride home to Westminster. So I'm 20 minutes out from the airport. I'm going to skip up there, just see if there's any last minute flights. BWI trips do count toward Quest. However, we all know you're not going to get a lot of those in one day. You might get, 5 a day if you're really, really lucky. And that's no way to get to some of these bigger goals. So, I've definitely got to pay my dues and put my time in the city. I'm okay with that. The more I drive in DC, the more comfortable I get. Although I think I did trip a speed camera tonight. I'm not sure. I thought I saw it flash in my rearview mirror. So we will have to wait and see on that one. But, more importantly, I know it's going to be a volume thing, and that's where I might have to just sit down and do the math and say, look, the only time it's worth it for me to be down there is when there's Boost and a Quest at the same time, because then I can generate Boost on the trip while I'm also generating, heading towards my Quest goal. Tonight there wasn't that. It was really just me, dipping my toe in the waters and taking a long shot to see if I could do it. The airport queue was very slow when I was there this evening at BWI, so it didn't feel like it was a really great sacrifice. So, that's how you play it. And I may have made the bad choice on this one. I'm not sure. I may have been better off staying at the airport and just getting 2 or 3 trips, and they could have been big ones. I don't know. That's one of those things that you can always second guess. But I definitely got some tips tonight. The more customers you have in your car, the more chances for a tip. So that was beneficial. But really, more importantly than that, I just need to dip my toe in the water. I need to get comfortable driving in DC. And I really need to get a sense of what it's going to take to accomplish these Quest goals, because that's the tricky part, is that there's money being waved around. But if it's harder to get an Uber ride in the city because the volume is not there, then that might be the counterbalance. So still a learning process. I've never had Quest before. Baltimore doesn't do Quest. So this is a very new challenge for me to wrap my head around. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to play with it for a little bit until I feel like I understand it enough to speak to it specifically. Anybody out there that's watching these videos that feels like they have a better grasp of Quest and, not the mechanics. I get the mechanics. You do X number of rides and you get X much money. I get that part. But, if they're waving around these do 50 trips to get this much dollars kind of thing, what does 50 trips in DC look like by comparison to Baltimore? How much time does it take to just generate 50 trips in Baltimore? Thursday going into Labor Day weekend, I expected it to be busy. U Street, which kind of is like the bar scene for me, I noticed, was busy, but not enough to generate a lot of rides. So we'll have to wait and see. And I've got to learn the neighborhoods better. Maybe I was hanging out in the wrong area, but that's where the boost was. So I assumed that was going to be an area that was profitable. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have been in Georgetown. I don't know. It's going to just take some experimenting. I'm kind of like a stranger in a strange land now. I feel like I'm relearning a new territory, and that's, part of the discovery process. So, that's where we are. I'm not necessarily done for the night. I do want to put some more time in, whether that means a late airport trip or whether I just turn my app on and head to like Ellicott City, Columbia, or, the outskirts and see if I can pick up some longer trip business there. I don't know. But I would love to get to $200 tonight, and I'm about $50 away. Very much doable if I just put the hours in. So we'll see what happens, guys. If I make it to 200, I will tag on and just add to this video. If this is all you see, then that means I pretty much, ended the night thereabouts where I am now. So if not, I'm going to log off and we'll play it by ear. Wish me luck. Bye. Hey guys, it is Mike from Baltimore Rides here. Hang on a second, I'm just adjusting the mount. Okay. It is the kind of like this part 2 of my wrap-up video for Thursday, the 31st of August, which is also September 1st at 2:57 a.m. So I did not make it to 200, and I know I wasn't going to do a video unless I got to 200, but just want to give you kind of thoughts on that. I made it to about 170 and change, like 174 with cash tips. And you know what? I'm fine with that number. It's one of those weeks. It's going to be weird. My numbers are not going to make sense because I lost a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So even with one of those 3 days being a day off, I know I'm starting the game in the hole. And that's fine. That's going to happen, guys. When you take vacations or when stuff comes up in life, you're going to lose. You're going to lose a couple days worth of work. It's just part of life. So already knew going into it it was going to be a bit of a pickle. My goal for the day was 150. It's a Thursday, but I was really shooting for 200. I'll be honest. Coming back from vacation, energized, recharged, Labor Day weekend. That was my goal. Obviously my plans changed pretty much the minute I got to the airport. Started looking at my Quest bonus, thought 28 trips in DC was going to be an attainable. It was a stretch. I wasn't thinking it was going to be easy, but I thought I could do that volume of business in one night. I had certainly done 30 trips with Uber in Baltimore. I used to do it all the time when I was driving predominantly in the city. And maybe that was more like a Saturday night's realistic number, but whatever. I was being ambitious. Sometimes you got to shoot for the stars a little bit. So that's what happened. Obviously did not make that goal. I did about half of those number of trips. I think it was 12 or 13 trips. It might be 14. I'm not sure at this point. It's late and my brain is fuzzy. But, realistically, that was a tough goal. Had I started my night in DC and stayed there for a good 10, 12 hours, that was probably very much doable. But, doing it in 4.5, 5 hours, it's a little bit of a different game. So, so that's what happened there. I left, I headed back. There was nothing at the airport. I didn't even pull in. I got on 295, and when I saw the queue was 10 and it was almost 2 a.m., that tells me right then and there I can make an educated decision that the last flights are in. Those are just the weirdos that are sleeping over. And there are those people that literally sleep in the airport with their queue on just so that they're number one in queue, come the morning flights at 5 a.m. More power to you if that's what you want to do. That makes no sense to me. So, so that's what I did. I just bugged it out. I headed straight up into Baltimore. There was, last call surge activity going on at that point, and I got a couple trips. Nothing at any high rate of surge because I had a couple cancels, no shows that just didn't show up. So, had a 1.8, but the guy never showed. Then I did a couple small trips. Then I did a meals or an Uber delivery. And that's kind of what got me to 170s. So, it was kind of an anticlimactic evening. I was hoping for a kind of, late finish, but it just didn't materialize. And that's okay, guys. 170 is not a horrible night. I'm not thrilled, but I'm not depressed. So, Labor Day weekend is shaping up to be interesting. A lot of college kids out. I saw another red heat bloom over Towson at 145. I just wasn't there, and I was nowhere near, within range to get it. By the time I left DC, I still hadn't seen any heat bloom there, which leads me to believe that maybe there's not a lot of surge in DC. Maybe it's mostly boost. So, that's another thing I've got to investigate in DC, but I don't think this weekend is the weekend to investigate it. And I'm going to look tomorrow in the morning when I wake up at my quest starting tomorrow and just see what it is and how many rides I've got to do and how much time I've got to do it in, because that might really, shape my weekend differently. But, we'll see. So the goal for tomorrow is 210. I'd like to do 210, 220. 220 is probably a better number for a Friday night on a Labor Day weekend. So we're gonna just dive into it and see what kind of money we can make this weekend, guys. If I can do 220 tomorrow, if I can do 225 on Saturday and 225 on Sunday, then I can do, close to $900 in 4 days. I would love to do $900 in 4 days. I think it's possible. Is it easy? No. I think it's going to be a marathon. It's going to be a real beat up slog fest to get there, but sometimes that's what you got to do, guys. So, that's where you got to make money. And sometimes it takes a little bit of hustle. So we're going to try it. It's going to be a beast, but I would love to do $900 in 4 days, guys. So we're going to try it. So wish me luck. I'm going to log off. I got to get home. I got to get some sleep, and then we'll hit it again tomorrow. Later, guys.